It's always good. Always good to see a friendly face.
How are you, Belinda?
Doing all right.
Good, good. Glad to hear it.
How are you doing?
Real good. Going real good.
And we're getting so close to our 3-day weekend. I can
I
taste
know,
it.
right? This is really the best part of it, because once it gets here, it goes by. The next day, you know, it's Monday evening.
That's true. The anticipation, we need to savor it.
This is the best part of it. Tomorrow is Saturday morning. Feels pretty good. You doing anything special?
No, actually just gonna probably stay in and get some rest. We've just had a lot going on and I'm pretty exhausted.
All right. I love that when that's the plan, I love it. But somebody always thinks that that's not exciting enough. So let's do this. No, I'm fine. I want to work in the yard, actually.
Yeah. Oh, nice. It's actually Matt's birthday is tomorrow, so we're gonna celebrate too. But
well, tell Matt I said happy birthday.
I will.
How is he?
He's doing good. He's been working at home. His team never got brought back to the office, so he's like permanently at home.
Oh, okay.
And it suits his personality.
I remember that. Well, I'm glad he's well.
Yeah, I'll let him know you wished him happy birthday.
Please do. And y'all behave yourselves.
Well, you know. All right. Well, I think it's a few minutes past and it looks like we've got a good group here. So just gonna get us started. Before we get started, I'm trying to see, I think let's go around actually and do introductions, because I think we may have a few people even new people on our staff who haven't been in the meetings before. So I'd love to just have us all go around, and also go ahead and put your name and your organization in the chat. Make sure there's no one else waiting. I think that's everyone's in here. All right. So I'll go ahead and get started and then we'll just work our way around. I'm Melinda Todd. I'm the Strategic Initiatives Director at Capital Area Workforce Development Board. And I'll call on Carolyn since I see her.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carolyn Perry. I am the Employment Outreach Coordinator for Vance and Franklin counties for the New Start Reentry Program.
I see Natalie next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie Mabin. I am the Reentry Manager for Capital Area Workforce Development Board. Great to be here this afternoon.
And Demetrius?
Good afternoon, everyone. Demetrius Pulley here. I am with the North Carolina Department of Public Safety, and I worked as essentially the point of contact for the Wake LRC. Great to see you all. Great.
Thank you. Well, looks like Donna's camera is beginning to work. It's half working.
Just a little bit.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Donna?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Donna Farrar, and I'm one of the reentry case managers.
All right. Richard?
Hello, everyone. Richard Smith, Reentry Case Manager, Wake LRC. Let me see. This camera rolling. All right, hey, there we go. How y'all doing?
Well.
All right. I think Hermione's next on my camera.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hermione Ruffin. I am the Behavior Health Case Manager for Wake LRC.
Jennifer Jackson.
Hi, everyone. Jennifer Jackson here, CEO of Interfaith Prison Ministry for Women, or IPMW, and it's good to be here. Good to see everybody.
And I can't tell who S. Brown is. That's all I have on my sheet.
Yeah, this is Sharif Brown, Program Manager for Reentry from Alliance of Disability Advocates.
Great. Thought so, but I didn't want to make an assumption. And Megan?
Hi, everybody. I'm Megan Eilenberger, the Program Director with Dress for Success Triangle.
And I think that's everyone. I don't know if Leonardo wants, she's under the weather, but she was helping us out. So I don't know if she wants to introduce herself. No, okay, well, we'll let that go then. But no, she's with us in spirit. Well, I wanted to just, and I'll, of course, Donna will jump in, but kind of where we were last month is talking about kind of next steps to, actually, before I do that, do we have any announcements? I think Natalie had one she wanted to make.
Which one is?
You sent a couple.
The fatherhood conference. And we'll make sure that this information goes out to you in a post-meeting email. But the fatherhood conference is coming up, and an email has gone out requesting that we consider any of the men and women we're serving to refer them as participants so that they can participate free of charge. That conference is going to be June 18th from 8:30 to 1. There's a pre-conference, and it's father and child together. It's me and my dad events on the 17th. There's also some on Thursday, June 16th, there's going to be the pre-conference Strengthening Fatherhood Legislative Breakfast. And so we'll forward the email that we received so that you guys have that information and you can share it with the fathers that you serve. And I think the other announcement I was thinking about, it can be shared. Jennifer could share probably more of the details of that opportunity because it's pretty phenomenal. She did share it in the last committee meeting. So if you don't mind, I could yield to Jennifer Jackson. Sorry.
Surprisingly, I'm the only Jennifer here. That doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen often. I didn't see.
It doesn't. So thank you, Natalie. I'll be brief. I just want to alert everybody to an opportunity that is coming down the pike for a January 2023 cohort in a program that is a collaboration between Campbell University and IPMW called the Reentry Higher Education Initiative. And it is specifically to provide scholarships and housing, including supportive services and wraparound services for 5 women who will be working toward their associate's degrees in either behavioral science or general studies. Those are the 2 options that we've identified right now, although there are some more customized options available depending on the women. And I think a lot of this has to do with the women who are primed and ready right now for a January spring semester start date in terms of what their needs are. And so all I'm asking right now is for you to pass on the information of the person I am putting here in chat. She is working with IPMW as our education consultant, and we'll be spending the summer having, teas and coffees and lunches and conversations with women who are within a year, ideally, within a year of having been released from prison and interested in pursuing their associate's degree with an aim toward leading to a bachelor's degree. and for whom housing and supportive services could be the difference between their being able to enroll or not. And so we just want to have the conversations, find out what the need is, find out who the folks are, as we customize this wonderful opportunity. So thank you for passing on the word about that. And there will be a flyer coming soon. And Leonardo said that she would send it out to the council at that point.
Terrific. So people can begin thinking if they've got someone who'd be a good candidate for that, and more details will come. Any other announcements?
Oh, I know, I know it's been a while. The last time we met, March, but then April, since Megan, you're here, and we had that event with Dress for Success. So just wanted to hear about what was the outcome of that event, if you're able to share.
Sure. So we did a virtual job fair geared towards and had employers who hired folks who are formerly incarcerated. And I'm not sure, I think we had about 90 people attend. I think there were about, we just did another job fair last night, so I may be, I don't remember exactly. Also, I don't know, are we in December right now or November? I have no idea what month this is, but I do remember actually doing that event. I think we had about 90 people who attended, and I would have to go back and look at the follow-up statistics. We don't ask specifically, or have a good follow-up really mechanism to find out who actually did get a job, which is really sad since we're Dressed for Success, and also this was a hiring event, but we can definitely do some follow-up if needed. But it was a great event, and I know that always in our virtual hiring events, job seekers are able to make really great connections with the employers, and the employers that we have as partners are super committed to us and to the women that we help. So all of our virtual hiring events are great events. So anecdotally, that's what I can say.
Okay, cool. And I guess a couple people thought I was an employer, so I did have some people reach out to me, giving me a copy of their resume.
Oh,
at least,
that's great.
Yeah, so at least, they are following up if they are of interest with the employer, so.
Yep.
Good. Okay,
Any
Melinda.
other announcements or just nice stories to share? I guess one thing, I'm sorry.
I wanted to say really quick.
Oh, you went on mute, Carolyn.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I saw that. I'm sorry. So Jennifer, of course, knows more about this than I do, but I wanted to say that since the last time I have been on this call, that I have done 2 of the simulations that she does, that her team does, and it was a wonderful experience. We just did one. I think, was it just last week, Jennifer? My days are getting confused here, but it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah. Yes.
For anyone who has not done it, I think it just is, when it comes to reentry and what folks returning from incarceration go through, it's an eye-opening experience. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, we of course had the one at our career center, and really excited. Also, our board chair attended, and I'm so glad he did. So he's really beginning to understand what it's all about. So yeah, had some great conversations. Although I don't know, for those of you who had to be like bureaucrats, it was kind of painful to be the jerk. Great. And actually, I think that brings up, and I don't know if Jennifer wants to, since we met previously, we also had our executive committee strategic planning session. And I don't think much came out of it that was against or there's definitely nothing against what we're already doing here, but I do think there were some things that came up, things that might help give us more direction as we're developing this committee. I don't know if you wanted to share anything, Jennifer, as the liaison.
I'm going to defer to the wonderful presentation that was shown in the Housing Committee. If you want to go into granularity, but from a broader standpoint, and as the executive committee liaison to this employment committee, I'll say first of all, it was energizing and invigorating, and the folks around the room were terrific. The participation was high level, and I thought it was a really spot on strategic planning session in terms of just staying on point, not taking too much time to be able to drive to the outcomes that were desired. In those kind of sessions, you can end up putting stuff on flip charts and you've got 15 different directions, and it's like, where do we go? But in terms of responding to the questions that were asked, coming to a vision, coming to clear values words, coming to potential refinements to the mission. There is some follow-up that the facilitator is going to have to do to put everything in one document. But I would say overall, there was a great deal of consensus, but not like group think kind of consensus, but really deep level, like really who are we as an LRC? What is it that we are here to do? How does the LRC relate to the partner service providers? What is it that we are doing for the end beneficiaries? What is the role of the IA? All of those sorts of things were grappled with. And, I guess sort of that population of right answers, it just, popped up. And I think everybody was in agreement with what came up. So stay tuned for the final report from the COD folks, but I hope you all thought it was effective. It seems to me that y'all, you got answers. There are certainly action steps. Employment had some very interesting conversations, and I think, they include, there were some really specific recommendations that included things like having presentations for potential employers, in particular, to educate them on the low risk of hiring folk with records. So I think that was one really low hanging takeaway. And there were a couple of others that I don't have the notes for right now, but I would say probably by the next subcommittee meeting, you all will have the marching orders for this committee. But I thought it was very, very good.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else before we jump into agendas?
I will just say, Lenarda sent me the values word, so I'll just put out for the group. This is for the whole LRC, not just for the employment subcommittee, but vital, resourceful, responsive, innovative, and impactful. That is the filter through which, and the values by which the LRC is moving and wants to be known for moving.
Hey, Melinda, I would just have one other add from that retreat. I think one of the other big takeaways was the answer to the question, who is the LRC? And the consensus being the LRC being everyone who's in this meeting, every partner, every stakeholder, every referral agent that works with us, every individual who comes to move this work forward, not the Natalie's or the Melindas or the Lenardas or the Donnas. We're just staff. We are support to the work that the whole body does. And I think it may have even been Jennifer, but we came up with this idea. Maybe we need to have this button that says, I am Wake LRC. And I think Jennifer mentioned that there was this little ribbon that could go over the button for every partner, for every council member. And it could say, if we were to use IPMW, for example, they could have this ribbon that would go over the top of the button so that it would read IPMW, I am Wake LRC. And so really looking at branding and our messaging around all of us, the collective of us being the LRC, not the staff, but the collective of all of the partners. So I thought that was a really key takeaway.
Yeah, and as Jennifer mentioned, I think there's going to be a lot more to come, but we did want to give you a preview of that. Again, I don't think it's going to really change our work, but it might supplement and strengthen our work. So what I have of things we were planning to talk about from the last meeting is to finalize an email that we want to send to potential employers to pull them together for a round table to learn more about their needs, a timeline for implementation when we want to do things. And then the final part I have, and I actually just added this, so bear with me on that, is that just discussing some of the ways, since we've got partners like Carolyn and Megan on and Jennifer on here, to talk about some of the strategies you do to prepare people for employment success, as thinking about as we're doing this, because a big part of what we're trying, we'll be saying is we send someone, the Wake LRC sends a client for employment that we're saying they've received additional services and training and support, which improves their chance for success. And so that was the third thing I had. Did I miss anything, Donna?
No.
All right. Do you want to jump into the email?
Okay. So during our last meeting, we talked about pulling together an email that we could share with potential employers, as well as the employers who would be a part of our roundtable, to be able to engage them. And today, just wanted to see if, not necessarily that we draft the whole email, but just kind of talk about some specifics that we should include as how to get a warm lead or to start the conversation with an employer. So I guess what are some things that you would include if you're reaching out to an employer for the first time to engage them with justice impacted individuals? Hey, Melinda, is there a whiteboard, or can you make me a co-host?
Oh, I thought, yep, I sure will. Yeah. Sorry, I have to remember which one I'm on. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Hey, can you guys hear me? I can't find myself. I can't find my frame. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes,
can hear you.
Okay. So one of the things that I think that I'm having, some success with when it comes to reaching out to employers is because the job market is the way that it is, and it is, and most places are hiring. They're not as much focused on backgrounds as they used to be, and we've had employers who traditionally thought that they did not hire returning citizens, now specifically requesting returning citizens. So I'm not sure exactly how the language would be, but it would be to the thought of, because it is such a employees market in terms of, the availability of jobs, a wonderful untapped source for many employers. And like I said, there were employers who told us that they did not hire returning citizens, and they actually had hired some, but they did not know that they had. So it opened the way to us saying, this is an opportunity to expand that, expand your base, if you will, to consider individuals returning from incarceration. And of course, we know, we don't go into that, but we know that there are certain offenses that are deal breakers and that kind of thing. But just given the market for how tough it is in terms of getting staff, sort of mentioning that as an opening segue into it could be a valuable piece. And I was looking for a flyer as I was talking that we had used that I had got, and I'll still get it. As a matter of fact, I just got the flyer on the fatherhood conference. As soon as I figure out how to paste it in this chat, I'll get you that too. And if I don't get either one of these in the chat, then I'll get them to you when we get off the call. I'll send them to you, Melissa, and you can get them out for us.
Okay. Anyone else want to jump in?
Oh, one question I have, and I think part of my homework was to come up with either data or compelling reasons for why individuals or why employers would want to hire returning citizens. And I guess one question I have, and I can share that list with people, but is that helpful in the email that we're reaching out to people? Is that something that's going to grab people's attention, or is that more stuff that we want to present if we can have them come to the round table? Like how much selling do we, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think you're getting on to what I was getting ready to say, which I would keep the email as brief and to the point as possible, and have the follow-up be the place where specific answers, because it's always hard when you answer questions that haven't been asked, and then therefore you can also be raising concerns that hadn't been thought of. So yeah. And then the other thing I was thinking are folk like, well, I guess the folk there at NC Works, but I'm thinking Step Up, and I'm thinking about those organizations that have as a part of their mission recruiting employers, and maybe they could give us some guidelines on what are effective. And I mean, I guess you guys, you all would have that information as well, but yeah, what are the effective strategies that they're finding in their communications? Especially, I think Carolyn's point is a good one. Like, we don't have to litigate that question about backgrounds and all of that and spend our time, because they desperately need employees. So then what's the next thing that is really on their minds right now, and have, just a teaser for it and an invitation to meet with somebody from the team to give them more info.
So, I mean, I think part of what I'm hearing is that it's not as big a sales job maybe as we think, that it's more just like, hey, come and hear about how you can get more employees to our reentry program.
Exactly. The only challenge is right now salary, because, a lot of folks are returning citizens that I'm working with. They say, look, Ms. Perry, I can get, $15 an hour at Bojangles. So, and so the salary has become, I won't say an obstacle, but definitely an opportunity.
And I wonder too, because I know that's something I have actually heard from people who do more employment engagement. They're like, oh, people are interested because they think they can pay less. And that, we need to make it clear that, yeah, you're not going to be able to shortchange people.
Should we include anything that says that these individuals will be able to have like wraparound support in this email?
How do y'all do it, Carolyn? Because I mean, you provide some of that.
I was getting ready to say that's a bit of a double-edged sword, because what happens is, and we do provide additional support like mentoring. I'm sort of a coach, an employment coach, if you will. We have a mentor, but sometimes it invites employers to put us almost in a human resource role with clients. They're doing this, they're doing that, they won't do this. And so
you know, sometimes it really depends on the employer. The more progressive, and I mean technology-wise, the employer, the more it's not an issue. But sometimes when you get employers that have a lot of entry-level positions, they kind of use you like they would a conflict, you know, somebody for conflict resolution at the job, and it gets a little, you know, it gets a little sticky. But we talk about doing drug assessments if they need, you know, if they need to. We talk about, you know, doing the background check prior, so that, you know, by the time we make a referral to you, we know what the background includes. And if you have any questions, and really just myself acting as a reference, employment reference, if you will, for the individuals, saying we drug tested them, we know what their background includes. They come with coaching, employment coaching from me, as well as mentoring support from our peer mentor that we have on staff. And of course, the case manager as well. We have a case manager with it.
I wonder as well, I see articles every day about different things. There's not one particular one that I have in mind, but you know, this has all become such, all of the issues that we work in, you know, like every day in the New York Times, almost there's something about mental health and you know, substance use and the difficulty. So if there is a link to a brief, easy to read article that's very pro-business around the benefits of, you know, identifying the labor shortage, and here's what folk have found, and a couple of, like, you know, we're fair chance employers, like a US News or, you know, something like that. If you could include a link to that they could read briefly and see that it doesn't have to be as scary a thing as they think it might be, and that many others are doing it. And with
I love that.
And I'd say if anyone knows of an article, that's part of what I was looking for last week, and I couldn't find something. I found like things on SHRM, but they're, you know, very HR director focused. I couldn't find something that was more kind of like you're saying, like a US News or a Today, US Today, something easy.
You think
read.
Indeed might be a place to look? I hadn't been on it in a minute, but sometimes they have relevant
Good
content
idea.
related to, yeah. A Monster, I think, as well. Is that what's the other major employment engine? Is it Monster, Indeed, and Monster? Or Career Inc. You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, but I like it. Yeah, I think I went too far down the like research hole and and found some dense stuff that I didn't read.
You were getting white papers.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
Right.
I did find some. I mean, I still found some good stuff
Right,
that you could
right,
like
right.
pull pieces out of,
Right,
but
right.
like I couldn't find exactly what y'all were talking. That's what I wanted, was just like quick, happy, clear article about this is a good opportunity.
Now, this is not, I don't know that this is germane for us, because I must admit, I don't have any of the, you know, roughly 200 people I've placed. I've never placed, well, I placed one person in an office environment. One of the things that I'm seeing a lot of is how working from home actually can lead to more productivity in terms of employment. Now, the thing again is, for the markets that we work with, the demographics that we work with, I don't have a lot of administrative positions, so I'm not sure that's going to be something that's going to be relevant.
You're awesome, Jennifer. Nice. Well, at least it gets us started.
Okay, and this might be a silly question, but once we do have the email draft and everything, regarding our signatures, should we just say the Wake Local Reentry Council?
I think so. I mean, we're kind of, I mean, I guess we could say subcommittee, but that might not have any meaning for anybody, but
Right. No, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Now, did you have the word employment? Because we want to lend to our credibility. So is the word employment a part of that?
I mean, we could say something like that, like in conjunction with the Employment Subcommittee, or
Yeah, somehow to me, to put the word employer, employment in there so that they know we're just not randomly sitting around, throwing mud on the wall, but that our daily jobs is working with employers to, to figure this out.
okay.
Hey, Donna, there are a few comments in the chat. I don't know if you had seen those.
No, can you read it to me? I'm only working with one screen today.
Okay, sure. Lenarda mentioned, and I think it was Megan that agreed, that maybe talk about having a diverse population within the workforce and using DEI.
Okay.
For some reason, I'm scrolling through my chats too quickly. Let's see. Yeah. Speak to the value of having a diverse workforce, use DEI language.
Okay. Was there anything else?
No,
I may
that
have
was it.
missed.
Those
Okay.
those were the last things.
Okay. So I guess real quick, let's talk about the value of having a diverse workforce. What are those characteristics or benefits?
I know one of the benefits of having a diverse workforce is if you're serving a diverse population, you're more able to reach a broader spectrum of people, depending on what the industry is.
yeah, I think another example I saw when I was looking for articles was there was a report in SHRM or SHRM, I think it's SHRM, that said that they find having people with lived experience brings unique perspectives and actually boosts creative problem solving with their staff.
That's great. It's been a really long time since I've seen it, and I'm not saying that it should be linked to this email, but I don't know if any of you have seen the comic clip. I can't remember which show it was, but Daryl Atkinson was on it and was talking about fair chance hiring. Something like a Jon Stewart or something like that. Does anybody know remember what I'm talking about? I'll see if I can find it.
No, but Daryl is great. And so anytime we can find something, he's very articulate, of course, that's a lived experience for him. So I love him in this role.
And that might be something, if we get people to the round table, one of the first things we show could be if we have a good, video of someone talking about the benefits.
Mm-hmm. Or a success story, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
which I would definitely say Daryl fits that bill.
Make sure we capture this on roundtable content.
Well, Linda, you might ask Dennis for that, because I think he's the one who first sent it around to us. I mean, this is at least
Okay.
5 years old, but
Okay.
it's hilarious. I mean, when I say it's one of those spoof shows,
Mhm.
and it was around the time that Daryl was appointed as the fellow, the National Second Chance Fellow. So it was like right around that time. And they did a kind of comic clip about it. And, it was a sort of thing. He was being interviewed by the comedian, and, the guy was going off on all kinds of stereotypes. And then Daryl was like, well, I was, he was asking Daryl for his expertise, but, it was very light, but those kind of things can be effective. And the reason I bring it up is that it might spur ideas of the kinds of we're talking about, they said why it's such a good idea. I know that one of them said you'll get some of the most loyal employees that you could imagine.
Yep.
But I do think you want to be ready for the question. It came up in something yesterday, and I don't remember what the fora was, but when people get scared because somebody in their customer base finds out, or whatever that sort of thing can happen, that very often people who otherwise have a big heart for this just say, well, it's just not worth it. I don't want to be unfairly stigmatized. So whether it's not in the first email, but just being equipped to be able to respond to those sorts of things, I think will be important for employers willing to take a chance. But
Okay. Well, I think we have a good start with this. My next question would be, like, as far as the round table, when we meet with the employers, does everyone on the committee want to be involved with that?
I mean, if I can bring some value, but just to be there, no, because I think, sometimes when it's stuff like this, the smaller you keep it, the more richer dialogue can be. One of the things that I was thinking about, as Jennifer was talking a few minutes ago, we did a roundtable with the NC Works office. And a lesson that I learned out of the roundtable was that several employers was open to the idea of working with offenders, but they did not want it to be labeled as such. And matter of fact, it became quite a heated discussion, and between us as a committee, because again, the employer said they would consider it, they would readily consider it, but someone was trying to brand them as such, and they refused. Many of them said absolutely not. they would not, be branded as such, but that they would be open to considering that market. So that's something else that we want to keep in mind.
That's
And when
really,
you,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead,
Donna.
Donna. I think we're going the same direction.
Well, I was just gonna say, and when they say branded, does that mean be put on a specific list or introduced as a second chance employer?
Yes. So someone had wanted to do, had wanted to brand them as a group of employers who were open to working with offenders, and they said no. Well, one employer said yes, and then about 5 or 6 more said absolutely not. And then the one who said yes, then said after further consideration, they wouldn't want it either. And I think it kind of centered around, I'll tell you the truth, it got to be kind of a difficult exchange. So I'm not sure exactly what the thought was. It was something about, we just they didn't want to put off people who maybe had a specific mindset about, working with people who were previously incarcerated, if you know what I mean.
Like if somebody was a sexual offender or something like that? It
wasn't that, because many of them, they just said in general that they don't know how their existing employers would feel if they knew that they were bringing in individuals that had already been identified as offenders, that they might think that would somehow be disruptive to them. And the thing really, the conversation to me sounded like employers who really just hadn't had or didn't know that they were hiring returning citizens, and was just kind of looking at it through a very dated lens. Because, it's not like you come in there with a sign over your head saying, I'm coming out of prison or anything. But it seems like that's what they were almost thinking. And if they started saying, that we believe in second chances, I think is what we wanted to use. And they just said no, while they did believe in it, they just didn't want to be branded as believing.
That's really interesting though.
It was.
Because I think we've been thinking about, we haven't done it yet, but we were thinking about really exactly what you're talking about, branding it as a second chance initiative. So,
right.
It may be a question and we have at the roundtable, but it may be also just be something we consider as we do this, that while people are interested, they don't want the attention.
They don't want negative attention associated with it. And they think that at some point it could be some negative attention associated.
When was this roundtable before?
This was, Linda, what is this? May. This was the one that we had at the end of last year with the NC Works in Vance County.
Okay, so it was recently. I was just wondering maybe if it was pre-pandemic, things might have changed.
I was in Vance County, and like I said, it was traditional folks who, had traditional employers who had not worked at all with returning citizens. So they came up with a bunch of, I don't want to use the word stereotypical, but, somewhat stereotyping the individuals and being concerned, like some of them said about safety and, stuff like that.
I think it's very political. It just gets to the concern about the tough on crime. And so I think that's why I was making that suggestion about that Republican state senator. Like if you have somebody who, like a quote from someone, or I remember like 5 years ago or so, there was and then also like things like the JP Morgan Chase, which might feel really foreign for a small business owner, in a more rural area. But I know I have seen some kind of a press release or something about the JP Morgan Second Chance initiative, because, they're spearheading something like really big and national and trying to get other big corporations involved in hiring, folks with records. And so, just somehow or another, getting the language from folks from both sides of the aisle, those who maybe don't want to be seen soft on crime, how can the two of those reconcile with each other? That you don't have to be soft on crime to be a second chance employer. And so somebody like that state senator, getting a quote from local business owners. I think I read, like the Koch brothers. Those kind of folk were being touted as, you'd be surprised, even businesses like this, are second chance hires, and they do it under the radar, but those are people who some of the local employers might resonate with, and you might have to meet it at that level, understanding that that is that concern, and here's how others have dealt with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's, and it is, and that's a good point. I guess I should say that I do work in rural markets, and it might be, not quite as progressive as some of the more urban areas or metro areas of the state. So that is worth noting. I'm glad you mentioned that.
But it is just a great point. Basically, what we're looking to do is giving people cover, like saying, it's great. It shows you care about your community. Also, look, this Republican senator's in favor of it. These big, Fortune 500 companies believe in it. So it's like kind of showing you it's across the spectrum.
Yeah, and I know that the Umstead Hotel, the 5-star hotel in Cary, they're also, I guess, an under the radar second chance employer. And I know they work a lot with Step Up Ministry, but that might be another employer that we could also bring to the table as far as, just language and being able to talk to other employers as well, because what's his name? Goodnight, Mr. Goodnight, who owns SAS. He also owns the Umstead Hotel and has a lot of influence in this area, as well as, nationally and possibly internationally. So that would be a good prospective employer to bring to the table as well.
Yeah, that is an excellent idea.
All right, I still have our list of potential employers, so I'm going to add it to it.
Oh, okay, so we have a lot of things here and a lot of great ideas and things that we could definitely implement and pursue. And this is definitely like one of our top priority areas that we identified last year about the direction that we wanted to go with as far as employment, and of course, assisting individuals with getting employment, because that's really our ultimate goal. We want individuals who have been just as impacted to get jobs that lead to a career and jobs that lead to stability. So I think that we're at a good point and going in the direction that we initially set out to go in. Melinda, did we have any other items for today?
Yeah, make sure.
Okay.
Sorry, I had a ambulance go by my house, so I was unmuted for a second. The last two things we said, if we wanted to start talking timeline, so I guess when we want to send out the email and when we'd like to hold the roundtable. I don't think we have to set a specific date, but thinking about when we think's a good timing, given kind of other people's experiences and current commitments. So we know summer, particularly June and July, can be a mess. What do people see? How does August look for people?
Yeah, I'll wait.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I said, is everyone awake?
Was just putting in the chat that I like August, because you're right, we're already at June. And July and June are so typically very vacation, prone months. And so people are sort of, August to me sounds like a good time.
Okay.
So that would mean, so we don't always get this confused. We have our regular LRC meeting next month. We don't meet in July. And then, so our next meeting will actually be August, right, Donna?
September, I believe.
Okay.
I think the next LRC meeting is August 26th.
But that's,
Okay.
yeah, that's the big meeting.
The
yes.
big meeting. Yeah, and then the subcommittee in September. Yeah.
So maybe we need to actually do it after our next meeting, with kind of having that Donna and I will get things kind of lined up for us to go through at the September meeting. Or is that pushing it back too far?
Well, I think that we would have to have a meeting before, if it's not a standing meeting, a specially called meeting. But I do think, as a group, we would definitely have to chat before we try to, to put it in motion. And Jennifer just said that we could perhaps review things via email prior to the meeting.
That's a good idea. So we could even, so what's the date of our, so it'd be toward the end of September, obviously.
It's the 22nd.
Okay. So what do y'all think? I hate to put it off too far, but on the other hand, we want to be reasonable with everyone else's commitments.
Yeah, what about, what are we opposed to calling a special meeting just as it relates to this particular initiative?
I don't think so. I think more the concern, although we could still do it in August. I think what we learned last year or the year before is that July is hopeless.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we could have our own, have a special meeting in August.
That just talks about this initiative, where we are, and maybe get some updates on what we need to be doing, and timeline for some list kinds of stuff, and then have a meeting as sort of a sign off. This is what we're going to be doing, and maybe not wait until our next scheduled meeting. And doesn't have to last long. Just to this is what we're going to be doing, guys. But I think we would be ill-advised to do it without talking together first, other than via email.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Email can lose its priority for me if I get too busy. I got some from February.
Who are you telling?
February, I'm still looking at. I'm still on my to-do list, and I got them in February, and I'm gonna do it though.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's just, and it would be people just getting together that that are working on, like you said, it doesn't have to be a full meeting. It's just here's our plan, here's the roles, here's what we need to review, and then just like you said, a sign off on it.
And if we could get whatever that is beforehand, so that when we're not just seeing it for the first time in the meeting, but we've had a chance to sort of digest what it is, and then we just get together really quickly to give our feedback, give our feedback. So that
I love your humor.
oh, I'm sorry, it's getting the late day. Must be getting 3 o'clock. It's time for my caffeine boost.
So I have submit the materials before the meeting for a quick overview and sign off. And then hopefully Donna and I sometime, and then these last 2 months have just been, I swear they flew by, but I know everyone's in the same boat, but we should be able to pull things together for people to review well before that meeting.
Now, have we got location down?
I would think, well, oh, that's a good point. So, I mean, shoot, I would like to say, I mean, we could definitely have it at Tillery. That's not an issue at all. I guess the only thing we'd want to do is to weigh whether or not it should be virtual.
Mhm.
Because it feels like this is never ending.
Right. Okay, well, again, I think that's something that needs to be a fairly early ongoing discussion, location. And because I think if you give someone the opportunity of having it virtually and coming, most people will choose virtually if you have both. But then at the same time, if you say that is something that's in person, then, I'm there too, so. So.
And something that we've been seeing a lot is sometimes we get better attendance with virtual. So it's something to consider for this kind of thing, where if they don't have to leave their office, they may be more willing to go. Whew. I think it's the time of the day where my air conditioner starts to give up. I think that's everything I have. How about you, Donna?
Yeah, that's all I could think of for today.
Do we want to go ahead and set the August meeting?
I think that'll be good.
Okay. Let's see. Let me at least pull up us. Sorry, my Outlook just keeps freezing on me. I don't know what it is up to. So what is that? Okay, so our actual reentry council is the 25th. What about either the 11th or the 18th?
Both of those work for me.
Megan, does that work for you? Or Sharif and Sharif?
Yep.
Does anyone have a
Yeah,
preference?
that works for me.
Okay.
Yep, me either. No preference.
So do we want to
I'll say-
just do our normal time?
Yeah.
Me too.
11th or 18th?
Let's go get as early so we can have as much time to critique and respond to critiquism as possible.
That sounds good. Let's see. Come on. Okay, so we'll say August 11th at 2 p.m.
Got it.
And we'll give it an hour, but doubt it'll take that long.
Okay.
As Carolyn would say, anything else for the good of the cause?
You know me too well.
I still use that, actually. I don't usually give you credit.
Oh, okay. I think I stole from someone too, so it's fine. All right, guys. Everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe out there.
You too.
Okay, you too.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Good to
All
see
right.
everyone.
Bye.
Have a great one.
Bye.
You too. Oh, should I go ahead and end the